You got your coffee?
Dude, I just ran out, man. I might have a little bit left. And it's National Coffee Day today.
Well, welcome to National Coffee Day and welcome to Morning Coffee with Shaun and John. We're on live, Shaun.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are, John.
All right. So talk to me, man. I'm kind of excited today because I got a phone call from one of our really good clients yesterday, Shaun.
Yeah.
And it was more than one. I mean, right now in this country, I think one of the best jobs to have right now is recruiter, because we're constantly busy. You've been here longer than I have here at GPAC, and in the entire time that I've been here, I've never had so many companies with so many urgent needs all over the country, and it gives an extreme amount of leverage to good, solid candidates that are out there. As far as drywall. So, I mean, Shaun, can you give a picture in the specialty contracting realm, specifically drywall, specifically paint, paint me a picture of an ideal candidate? Tell me what that candidate looks like.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing about the commercial drywall industry. Generally speaking, it's pretty cookie cutter to some extent. Whether we're looking for someone in Colorado, Florida, Pennsylvania, San Francisco.
And by the way, we're looking in all those places.
We're looking in all those areas. Those are areas that I'm not, I mean, we're looking, let's just be honest. We're looking everywhere. I don't care if you live in West Virginia. We'll help you out. And actually we are trying to help someone out in West Virginia. But for the drywall perspective, a good candidate or somebody who's got on-screen takeoff and quick bid. And then there's, of course, the edge. You almost always have to have those softwares. Not all three of them necessarily, but you have to have some type of working knowledge or proficient. And that's what I call just the industry standard software. That is first and foremost. And I've talked to a lot of good candidates in my career that just never, maybe they worked for a company that was old school and they never transitioned to on-screen takeoff. And it's unfortunate, but over 90% of our clients, over 90% of them require being proficient or at least minimally having working knowledge of the software. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is you have to have industry specific experience. So if we're trying to hunt for a commercial drywall company, the people that we place and the people that we often have a lot of success with are professionals who already are in the industry. They're already working for another commercial drywall or commercial paint contractor. On the paint side, I mean, this is simple. I mean, there's probably a wider variety of paint software out there, but as long as you have some type of commercial paint software knowledge, that is first and foremost. Like if you're not using put it this way, if you're not using any software for estimating or project management or anything like that, there's probably not a whole lot that John and I can do to help you out, because when the clients that we work with, they have to pay us a pretty significant fee to bring them the right people. So they want the candidates that we bring them, they want those candidates to already have a lot of this stuff. And outside of that, I'll say this: personality is huge. And I know that that's cliche, but it's true. I mean, if you have on-screen takeoff and quick bid and you're working for a commercial drywall contractor, those are two things up front that I'm looking for. But the third thing is you have to have a good personality. You have to be open and honest with your communication. It's extremely difficult for John and I to work with candidates who just are not honest. They're not willing to open up about things. So if you have a good personality, software knowledge, and you're currently working in the industry, and John, I don't know, I mean, I feel like that's the best way I can articulate it. I mean, there's some other factors. Every company is a little different in specifically what they're looking for, but just face value, that's what we're looking for just initially. Then we get into a lot more qualifier questions as we're vetting out who's going to be a good candidate for a particular company or not.
Well, there's a huge truth to the fact that you got to have the hard skill set. On-screen takeoff, quick bid, currently working in the industry, familiar with metal studs, drywall, acoustical ceilings, etc. These projects of over $1 million is where most of our companies are. Kind of that's their sweet spot. They want to have someone over $1 million, but it's like Shaun was referring to. It's also a set of skills that sets you apart from others. What's known in the industry as soft skills, emotional intelligence, the ability to actually relate to people. We talk to so many companies out there. For example, there's two types of estimators. There's the estimator that he walks in or she walks in at 7:50 in the morning, 7:50 in the morning, grabs a cup of coffee. You lock the door behind them. You slide their lunch tray underneath their door, and you unlock the door at 5:30. They never depart from the office. All they like to do is stare at a screen all day and do takeoffs. There's not a phone in their office. There's nothing in their office. That's all they want to do.
Right.
And then there's the person with the soft skills of loving that estimating portion, but also loving to sell and loving to close deals. So there's that kind of balance between the soft skills and the hard skills, the ability to have that emotional intelligence, the ability to relate to people, the ability to, to sell. Everybody hates the word sell, but the reality is that we all sell something, and we're all in competitions, competition for bids. Now, the good news is, Shaun, right now is that we have right now a situation where we like to call our candidates, our very, very best candidates, alpha candidates. They've got everything. They've got the hard skills. They've got the soft skills. They've got They've got a good motivation for making a change. They're in the right location, and they've got all the right experiences there. But right now, the reality is that companies have to be able to pivot and have to be able to focus more on not necessarily the hard skills or the soft skills, but one or the other.
Right.
With a candidate that's motivated, you want to be able to say, does this person have the ability to, at some point in the future, be the kind of person I want them to be? And is he or she enough to plug the hole in the dike, so to speak, that I have right now? We've talked a lot about this last week, Shaun, in our coffee talk, but we got to talk again. How do companies have to pivot to be able to get talent in this market right now? Because reality is, talent is hard to find. People that are willing to change, willing to move, they're hard to find. What do companies have to do, Shaun?
Yeah, well, I think at first it starts internally within that company. Who's ever a part of that decision-making process, now more than ever, they have to get on the same page together as a team for specifically what they're looking for, whether that's an estimator, purchasing manager, superintendent, I don't care what it is, but who's ever involved in that decision-making process, they have to already kind of have a picture of a qualified candidate for what they're looking for. So if there's 3 people that are a part of the hiring process or the decision-making process with a company, make sure you're on the same page for what you're looking for. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to interview a candidate and then have all of these discussions and it drags on for a week or 2 weeks. And we've talked about this before, is that a good candidates will not be on the market for 2 weeks, maybe a week. And that's even that right now is kind of rare. When we get a good candidate, and if they're local to a market, there's no relocation. If everything lines up, it's usually a very quick process. So first off,
Shaun, I mean, I don't know if you remember this summer, I had a candidate that I sourced via resume sent to my inbox, and this is and by the way, this is the network I'm talking about. I sourced the candidate at 9:30 a.m.
Yep.
I got back to the office. I was out of the office at that time. I had an email sent out to all my companies about the background of this candidate by 10 a.m. I had 2 interviews lined up by 10:30 a.m. The
Right.
first one that wanted to talk to them, they wanted to talk to him a week later. The second one said, "I'll talk to them immediately." We set up an interview by 11 a.m. and at 11:45, I got a call from the candidate saying they offered me a job off of a phone interview.
Right.
Off of a phone interview, and that was confirmed before noon with the company. Inside of 2 hours in a hot market, we were able to place a candidate within 2 hours.
Yeah, and I don't recommend necessarily a company hiring over the phone. And that was a very unique. That was but sometimes it might make sense, especially in
they rolled the dice and it's working
Right.
out for them. But
yeah,
more often, what happens is last Wednesday, I got a call from a hiring authority saying that they were over a barrel desperate because of a situation at their work. It had to be a confidential search, but they had to get somebody in there immediately. On Wednesday afternoon, I called a candidate that I've been connected with for 3 years. I haven't been able to find a perfect fit for that person, but just so happens that this person was still looking, still open. Set up a phone interview that day. They had a face-to-face interview on Thursday. That candidate got and accepted an offer on Friday morning.
Right.
So they had a phone interview and an in-person interview. They were able to get a background check done that quickly, and they were able to get the person into the place. Now that person actually started working today for that company, so that turnaround can be extremely quick. But more often than not, Shaun, I mean, since the beginning of this year, since kind of COVID has kind of been lifted, the companies have started hiring again, the economy started really rolling again. I mean, the average time for a placement during 2020, Shaun, we were seeing sometimes processes taking up to a month and a half before people would get looked at. But now the process has been shortened, and the opportunities, for companies to work with us and be able to get someone that's good, they really have to change their mentality.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's a change of mentality, and you have to roll with the times. So it's quite simple. If you're a hiring authority, you have to know what you're looking for, but you also have to realize that there's a war for talent out there. There's not a lot. I don't know if you know this. There's not a lot of good people actively on the market. You're not going to find a lot of them on job postings or whatever. If you put enough job postings out, you spend enough money on it, you might get somebody. But you have to be willing, in my opinion, is that you have to be willing to kind of take what you can get to some extent. Obviously, you don't want to make the wrong hire. So I'm not advocating for companies just to make the wrong hire just to get someone in there. That's a whole other thing. But you have to be willing to, if somebody has software experience with the Edge and you really like people with the on-screen takeoff and quick bid, you know what? That might be something you might have to say, hey, we can train this person. They do have that experience on the Edge. It's not a perfect match, but it's at least something. So we're gonna roll the dice, and you have to be willing to kind of be flexible in some of those things, and you have to be willing to expedite the process. That's just a simple thing. And here's the thing: most companies within the trades do a really good job at not kicking tires. In my experience, a lot of my clients that I work with, and I have over 100 clients across the country, active clients. Most of them have a pretty expedited process when it comes to hiring. Most of them, not all of them, but you have to be willing to expedite it. You have to, right now, like I said, when John and I get a candidate, we market that candidate and we do our best to find as many opportunities for that candidate as possible. And we don't try and hide that. We don't work exclusive with any company. And that's just, that's the nature of the game. We want to get that candidate lined up with really good, solid interviews. And so most of the time that candidate will not only be interviewing with just you. And right now, like John, this, I just got off the phone with a candidate, right before you and I jumped online here. I've been talking to him for 3 years. For 3 years, I've been talking to him, and he's been at the same company for those 3 years. And I just reached out to him randomly yesterday, like I always do, just follow up on LinkedIn. And him and I just had a great conversation. He's been watching some of our videos, and he's starting to realize that, you know what, with where he's at his company, good company, family owned, but there's really no room for growth. And this particular company just hired somebody in a position that he was already doing, but he didn't have the title or the pay. And this company brought somebody on to just kind of, so he's like, dude, like, I like my company, but I have no room to grow. And I've been watching your guys' videos, and Shaun, you're right. The time is now to make a change, because and he's good. Okay. This guy's really, really good, but you have to, the good candidates right now have a ton of leverage, and that's no secret. That is no secret. Every hiring authority should know that. If you're the owner of a company, you're a hiring authority, you know that the good candidates, not the bad ones, the good ones have the leverage. And so if you think you're good at what you do, you have some of the software knowledge that we've talked about, maybe you've just thought about making a change. Maybe that thought has just crossed your mind. There's no better time to change than right now. And if I was talking to you a year and a half ago during March or April, I would have been honest and said, hey, stay where you're at. Like, now is a terrible time to make a change, because really nobody's hiring. And that's the way it was last year, right? Now everyone's hiring. Now everyone needs a hire. Things are starting to get better. I think we're out of the woods. I mean, honestly, John, there's so many companies hiring that it seems like there's something good going on in the economy. But if you've ever thought about making a change, now is the time. Now is the time just to see what's out there. Leverage what's going on right now. Leverage it, because it might not always be like this. But so that I'm preaching, man. I'm preaching, but it's a great time to make a change.
It's basically economics, Shaun. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now,
I'm a college dropout, so I don't. Yeah. So
last year, we had a low demand. We had a very, very low demand for talent, and we had a high number of people that were looking to make a change because of COVID-19. Now we have people that are very, very, the candidates are staying with their companies because I believe because of COVID-19, that they are a little bit terrified about making a move. And they're realizing now we just got back to work. We want to kind of stay there. But there's a high demand on the company side. Now, the high demand on the company side means a few things. Companies must be willing, and we've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Companies must be willing, number one, to promote a culture that says, or have a culture or build a culture that says, you want to come to work for me. You have to set yourself apart as a company to kind of attract this kind of talent. And the talent, the thing is that a lot of people think that it's just about money. No, I talked to a guy yesterday on the phone, and he's looking to make a change for the right opportunity, where he's a young guy, and he wants to experience life, and he doesn't want to be chained to a desk from 8 to 5. Now, he doesn't expect not to get his job done. He's not a typical millennial. I like giving shit about being a millennial, but
your generation raised us, man. I don't know what the heck is wrong with you guys. You guys raised us.
Exactly. But basically, what's important to him is that he has that work-life balance. He has the ability that if his work is done, that he's put in his hours, whatever those hours happen to be. He's put in his hours. His work is done. He's got a full docket of stuff. But he's on time, on board, on schedule, always getting the stuff done. He wants to be able to go skiing. He wants to be able to go. Be able to go hang out with his friends.
Yep.
And have a little bit of time. I mean, many more people. You have to be able to promote a culture of flexibility. we always hear about great things about a company, like they go golfing together, or they
Right.
you know,
They
they
go
work at
shoot
a company.
guns. They
I love hearing
go have
companies
beer.
talk to me about my people don't just want to stay here 8 to 5 and work. They enjoy each other so much that they go out to eat together afterwards. They go, they after work, or they go golf together. They do something
Right.
within the culture that just makes it look like. But more important than that, the person you're talking about, Shaun, all they want is acknowledgement and respect of the job that they've been doing, and not have someone brought in that's doing their same, that doesn't have any experience or doing anything, that they're just brought in because of, they might be a friend of the family, they might be a friend of the boss, and they're put in a position that they really have no idea what to do. And the person doing the position is doing a really, really good job, but is overlooked for that position. So you've got to have a culture also where the people that are doing really, really well, they feel like they're heard. They feel like they're valued. They feel like their opinion is valued. They feel like there's an open door policy where there's communication, and where they're given the respect, whether that respect is a word, whether that respect is a little bit of money for a job that they landed, or whatever else. At least make your people feel heard and respected, and build a culture that they want to stay at. Because let me tell you something, there's guys like myself and there's guys like Shaun that are calling up your people every single day if they're good, and we're trying to draw them away from your company. That's just the reality. Build a company culture that they don't want to leave. But the reality is that many companies don't have that. So on the opposite side, when you're looking for talent, make sure that you have a culture that they want to come to. There's got to be something more that you're offering than what they have right now, whatever that looks like.
Correct.
One company I talked to yesterday, Shaun, they pay 100% of the medical benefits for the individual as well as the family.
Yeah.
That, I mean, there's not a lot of companies that do that. But for a person with a family that's a large family and is paying $100, $200, $300 per paycheck to pay for their family medical insurance, and to have that puts cash right back in their pocket that's tax-free. That they're not being taxed on. That's a huge benefit.
Huge.
You got to get creative. What's that?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a great thing. I mean, I think you're hitting on some good stuff. I mean, if you want to bring on talent, you have to stand out from your competition, and just doing little things, bringing lunch to the office every Friday, or helping out, giving bonuses. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, like I just talked to a guy, the same individual I was referring to. I won't go into too much detail because he's extremely confidential, but a project that he was on, they had like 50% profit margins. It was stupid.
Wow.
I mean, it was stupid. And my follow-up question to him was, or not my question, but my assumption was, and this guy completely oversaw the whole thing. My follow-up question to him, I'm like, dude, you must have got a great bonus out of that, right? Like, you must have got just a tremendous bonus out of that. Like, that was my assumption. He was like, dude, he pretty much got, breadcrumbs. I mean, it wasn't anything significant. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, dang, they made a lot of money on this project. This guy played the main role in the profitability of this project. What's stopping that company from just writing him a nice little check? I mean, it's probably easier said than done. But it's a story we hear too much. Well,
you have to get creative also with the bonuses. I talk to companies that have quarterly bonuses. I talk to companies that still have annual bonuses. And the companies that seem to be the most successful, that are the most attractive, are the ones that have regular bonuses. When the job is booked and signed, where they give a percentage up front, and then when it's closed, they add to that percentage. one company I was talking to said the minute that this is signed and booked, they write a check that write a check that week.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's definitely not industry standard.
To me that's nuts. But I'm just saying that's just an example. This is how you attract talent to people.
Right.
People hear that and they say, "Well, shoot, that's a great opportunity."
Where somebody could say, "Shoot, that company is stupid." No, just kidding.
Well, they could, but so yeah. I mean, but just on the opposite side, Shaun. I mean, you're talking about that candidate. I wouldn't. I had a candidate that booked. You know, he bid, he closed the deal. Had the project done at a 40% profit margin. The project just closed out. It was a $70 million project. Yep. And he was like, you know, wow, this is going to be a terrific bonus year end for me. Well, the owner of the company came in the following week with a brand new Lamborghini. Yep. And the end of the year came and went, and let's just say that his bonus was significantly lower than what he had expected.
Well, yeah, they had to get that $100,000 Lamborghini, you know.
Right. And so
that guy's not there anymore either, is he?
No. So you got, again, I'm talking to business owners right now. I'm saying, man, you got to start thinking about things like that demonstrate good culture, that are high level. You know, this is a big duh for me. But the people that are earning you the money, those are the people that should be compensated fairly, and even maybe a little bit more than fairly. Yes, as a business owner, you take a lot of risk. You're the name of the company and everything else. You have a right to have your money, make your money, make your profits. Great. But if you don't take care of your people, I can guarantee you Shaun's going to be on the phone with them. And so am I.
And that's the case with this guy today, man. We're placing this guy, and he's kicking, and and in my opinion, if the guy was being treated fair, and like I said, he's doing a tremendous job for the company. If he was being treated fair, if he got a little bit more of a bonus, if he got that promotion that he was supposed to have, him and I wouldn't have had the conversation this morning. But we're already in the process of getting him on interviews. So
pay them now or pay us later. Because the reality is, and the thing is,
that's so true.
I mean, it is. So we do make a good fee for what we do. There is no doubt. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And actually, it should be. We should charge more, Shaun. I mean,
right.
Because it's again simple economics. It's really, really hard to find talent right now. That's the reality. But I mean, I'm speaking to companies directly now. If you are looking for talent and you're banging your head against the wall about how to get it done and who can get it done for you, you should call us today. You should call Shaun. You should call myself. I mean, if you're in a specialty contracting industry, whatever it is, drywall, metal stud framing, commercial paint, industrial coatings, HVAC, electrical, roofing, waterproof barriers, waterproofing, concrete restoration, civil,
anything.
I mean, if you're in that specialty contracting industry and you need talent, you should give us a call. We'll build up a profile of your company, and we'll go out and put the plows down. I mean, GPAC, the company we work for, we're the #1 specialty recruiting team in the country. But we have 500 talented recruiters right now that are willing to put the plow down and work on your job order. Now, Shaun, are we having 100% success at filling these jobs? We're not.
No.
But it's just like the old adage. You got to have enough lines in the water. And the reality is that we do have a network, and this is what we do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Even when we're on vacation, we still, Shaun and I still kind of look at our stuff and we try to keep abreast of the, we're commissioned salespeople. So we always, prioritize making sure that we have that work-life balance, but also that, if a client calls and they need to talk, we do everything we can to get a hold of them. But anyway, long story short, right now, if your company is urgently looking for talent, what better time than to hire myself and Shaun? Now, here's the best thing. It doesn't cost you anything up front. It only costs you something as a company if we actually find the right person for you. And meanwhile, you have the power, the consulting power of Shaun and John of GPAC,
Right.
30 plus years in the business, to help you make yourself attractive, to build a marketing profile, to market your company, to market your.
I don't want to cut you short, John, but I got calls to make here.
Well, I know exactly. Well, you're not cutting us short at all. We're done. We're done in one more minute. So, closing thoughts, Shaun.
If you're a candidate looking to make a change, reach out to us. Right now is a great time to make a change. You have all the leverage, and we can help you out confidentially.
Yeah, and if you're a company right now that's desperate for talent, and I mean desperate for talent, if you're over a barrel and you're looking to urgently hire, guess what? Now's the time to call us. Right now, get on our list. We'll start hunting for you today, and we've got to go hunt right now. So, Shaun, I'm gonna take my last little sip of coffee, and it's time to get on the phone. We got candidates to call and companies
right
to
now. I got my phone ready. I got to go.
All right, peace out.